Welcome, Tailgate Legends, to my first official video of 2024. We are heading into our 10th season, which is wild. 10 years this league has been going on. We've had our ups and downs. I wouldn't, take anything back. It's been a really good, it's been a really good time. I've had a really good time commissioning for the most part. I think it's a super fun league. Hopefully we can make it another, 10 years. But I do have a really good video for you today. This is going to be my annual, it's going to be an annual thing. I'm going to rank everybody's teams after the free agent auction. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go through. And I don't know, the rankings are a little, I don't know, just looking through everybody's teams, it's hard out here, it's tough for some of the teams. But yeah, we'll go through everything. Really good free agent auction, I thought. Other than we were missing Evan, I think. That's pretty much it. Boggs, you only had $10, so you didn't want to show up. And that, I don't blame you. But yeah, so I'm just going to get right into this. We're going to do team rankings. This is how I did it. And I think it's the same as how I did it last year. So I ranked each position first, and then I just took the average of everything. Now, I did rank tight ends slightly lower, just because you can only start, you can start two, but they're overall less tight ends on the, on your starting roster, but not really by that much. So I basically ranked each position and then averaged them out to get a total score. I kind of checked, I looked through everybody's just to make sure like everything looked in line. And there are definitely some things that, surprised me a little bit, but for the most part, I 100% stand by my rankings, I think. So let's get right into it. I'm going to rank them 12 through 1. So number 12, this is the team that I believe has the worst roster. I'll give you a hint who it is. $26 on Fields. Fucking, oh man. And it might have even been 28. I can't remember. I was laughing so hard. It is Landon. When I was going through your team, Landon, the thought that I had was, how do you do it? How do you do it? Year in, year out. You never manage to have like top 12 players on your team at any position, ever. It's wild. Like, you would think that at some point you're going to get like at least one top end player. You know what I mean? Like Justin Fields was that for you for a little bit. He won you some weeks, but he fell off. Like, brother, you went into the free agent auction. You got to get one of those top dogs. I can't remember how much money you had, but you gotta figure it out. You're going to get this, buddy. But, so this is what I ranked your teams. I ranked your quarterbacks 65, which is by far the lowest. And that's just because, Kirk Cousins is your starter. And then after that, you have Derek Carr and Russell Wilson, Michael Penix Jr., Justin Fields. I mean, that's not good. It's not a great, not a great quarterback room right there. Kirk Cousins, I think, will, hold down the fort a little bit. But, I mean, his upside, I just don't think is there. So, yeah, 65 for your quarterback. Running back, you got a 68. I mean, you're pretty much looking at DeAndre Swift, who isn't bad. Austin Eckler, who knows? Khalil Herbert, Will Shipley, Rico Dowdle. It's not looking good, buddy. Receivers, you got a 72 on receivers, a little bit higher, but you do have DK Metcalf, so that's pretty much what lifted that up. I don't mind Chris Godwin. Romeo Doubs is hit or miss. But when I'm ranking these teams, I'm ranking them compared to other, receiving cores and other running back groups, things like that. We are naturally graded on a curve in fantasy football, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. So Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I did not grade kickers or special team or defenses just because I think they're really interchangeable. You know, you're not scoring that many more points from the number 1 kicker to the number 12 kicker. Same with defenses, and you can swap them out pretty easy. So I did not grade those. Okay, so Landon's number 12. Number 11, I don't think is going to come as a shock to anybody. That is going to be Prusky. Prusky is number 11. So he did get an 85 for quarterbacks. He's got Joe Burrow and Jared Goff, and Trey Lance. I cannot believe Trey Lance is on your team, but we did talk about it at the free agent auction, but I just still can't believe it. Joe Burrow and Jared Goff. I mean, I would rather have Jared Goff than any of Landon's quarterbacks. And obviously Joe Burrow, who I fucking gave, dude, I gave Prusky a first rounder, I think, for Joe Burrow and Dallas Goedert at the beginning of last year. So that just shows how fucking smart I am. So Joe Burrow's back on his squad. And that, I really like that. So running back, not so good, 72. You do have David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, Jaleel McLaughlin, Cam Akers, Zach Evans, Justice Hill, Cordarrelle Patterson. That's what you got. It's not very good. I'd feel okay about Montgomery for sure, but after that, man, it's like, I don't even know where you go from there. Like Chuba Hubbard is the starter in Carolina till Jonathan Brooks comes. I don't know who you start after Montgomery. Jaleel McLaughlin, I guess. Cam Akers might get some work, but they got Mixon, and they didn't cut Pierce either, so Pierce is there too. So that's tough. And then receivers, you did get an 82 for receivers. You got Rashad Bateman, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp boosted that, and then Jameson Williams. That boosted you up a little bit. Cortland Sutton. If Bo Nix is okay, like Cortland Sutton's going to be good. Rashad Bateman, I think I said, but so it's not completely awful, but it's not great. So 82. And then your tight ends, I gave you a 70, Tyler Conklin and Cole Kmet. They're talking about Kmet sharing time with Gerald Everett. Tyler Conklin, who knows, complete unknown. So Prusky, you got an overall score of 77.25. Landon, I didn't tell you yours. Landon, you got a total score of 66.25. So you got to boost those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Okay, so that's what I got so far. And then number 10, I have Yacht. Yacht at number 10. I believe when I did this same video last year, I'm pretty sure I had Yacht's team at like 2 or 3. I'm pretty sure I had him as like the second best team. Not this year. Number 10. So quarterbacks, I gave you a 75. You got Stafford and Rodgers. Like, I don't really know. Not great. Running backs, I gave you an 80. Just because like Gus Edwards, I think is super underrated. Hopefully he stays healthy, but I don't see it. But I think until Gus Edwards gets hurt, Gus Edwards is going to be the starter for the Chargers, and I just think he's a very, very underrated player going into the year. Aaron Jones, Aaron Jones is going to get work. People need to stop sleeping on Aaron Jones. Tony Pollard is going to get work too. So, and then he does have Ty Chandler as Aaron Jones handcuffs. So if one of them does get hurt, the other one will be, for sure, a decent start. So, running backs, I gave you an 80. Receivers, I also gave you an 80. Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, Christian Kirk, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Watson. I feel like you got one wide receiver, one probably in Devontae Adams, but I don't know. It's hard to say. And then you just have a couple other like wide receiver 2s and 3s. Nothing crazy. Nothing too terrible, but nothing too good either. So yeah. And then tight end, I gave you an 82. And that's just, you got Evan Ingram, Pat Freiermuth. That's not bad. So you got a total score of 79.25. So number 10. And then we have number 9. Number 9 is Salmon Co. Yeah, Salmon Co. I thought maybe they'd end up better, but we'll run through the team here. Quarterback, you got an 85. You got Lamar Jackson, Geno Smith. I love Lamar Jackson, but he obviously carries some risk just because he runs the ball so much, and super high upside though. Love Lamar Jackson, so 85. Running backs, you get a 70. Second lowest rated running back room, I think. Nick Chubb, who is obviously hurt. Hard to say what he's going to do when he comes back to. Ezekiel Elliott, washed. Najee Harris, sucks. Roschon Johnson, he's like the third stringer. And then Jaylen Warren is currently hurt and splits time with Najee Harris. So you don't have a lot of good options there. You do have Blake Corum on your taxi squad, but again, you can't start him right now. And then receivers, I gave you an 85, so pretty good. One of the better receiving rooms, top half for sure. Amon-Ra, awesome. Michael Pittman, awesome. Tank Dell, should be good. Jackson Smith and Jigba, pretty good. Even Michael Wilson's pretty good. So gave you a score of 85 for your receivers, and then your tight end, Mark Andrews and Juwan Johnson. I gave you an 82, and I think a lot of that is just I had Mark Andrews for a long time. This past year, him getting hurt, and now he's hurt again. I don't really understand, and they're not really telling us why he's out. But I do worry about his health. I still gave you an 82 for tight ends. Maybe I guess could bump that up a little bit, but yeah. So you got an overall score of 80.5. So that is Salmon Co. Next, we have Sheer. Yeah, good old Sheer. Number 8, Sheer. So, quarterbacks, gave you an 87. Gave you an 87. You got C.J. Stroud and Dak Prescott. Dak put up 450 fucking points last year. People really sleep on Dak's fantasy value. And then C.J. Stroud obviously is up and coming, should be really good. So really like your quarterbacks. I would take them all day, every day. However, running backs, I give you 75. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, you got James Conner, and you got Alexander Mattison. And that's about it. You got a couple guys on the taxi squad, but, you have 3 running backs, and it sucks that you missed the free agent auction because you probably would have scooped a couple of those guys up. Not that there were any studs, but, you just want to get some of those other pieces, like a Rico Dowdle or who else is out there? Like Zach Moss or something. Just somebody that might get you might be able to plug and play. But yeah, so 75 for running backs. And then I also gave you a 75 for receivers. You have a couple guys I like, Drake London and Keenan Allen. It's hard to put him in like that elite status, and after that, it's like Josh Downs, Allen Lazard, Donovan Peoples-Jones got cut, Alec Pierce and Cedric Tillman. Like, those guys are terrible. Like, you have nobody you can play after Drake London and Keenan Allen. So, that's why you got a 75 there. And then, but tight end, you did get a 90, just because you have fucking George Kittle, Michael Mayer, and Trey McBride. So in my opinion, one of the top 2 probably tight end rooms, in the league. So you have an overall score of 81.75. So a lot of these scores are pretty close. Like, everybody's between like 80 and 90 except for a couple guys, but all these teams are pretty close. And I feel like that's what happened last year too, is everybody ended up really close. And everything was really close. So, I'm ranking these the best I can. And I'm not trying to like shit on any team except for maybe Landon. I don't know. But yeah, so Evan, you are number 8. Next at number 7. Ooh, lost my spot there. All right, number 7, we have Whitey, Jamar's attacks. This happened to me last year too. I feel like at first glance, you look at the roster and you're like, man, that's a top roster for sure. And then you kind of take a better look at it and it's like, well, I guess it's beatable for sure. It's not that great. It's not that bad. It's not that great either. But that's pretty much how he scored it. QB got an 82. You have Justin Herbert and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a rookie. I mean, he'd have to have some kind of year to have huge fantasy impact. And then Justin Herbert, I think Justin Herbert's going to be better, but he doesn't run the ball. He's like a better version of, Matthew Stafford, or Kirk Cousins. So doesn't run the ball that much. I hope he lights it up because I'm kind of investing a lot in the Chargers offense this year, but 82, so not even a bad score, but it's not like you got Josh Allen or anything. So running backs, I gave you an 80. You got Derrick Henry, love Derrick Henry. After that, I don't love the running backs here. Jerome Ford, I do like Jerome Ford, but eventually Nick Chubb is going to come back, and I'm not saying that Nick Chubb is going to come back in full force, but Nick Chubb, when he comes back, he's going to get work. And then, Keaton Mitchell on the IR, Joe Mixon. I don't mind Joe Mixon. And Dameon Pierce and Tyjae Spears. I don't mind those guys. That's why I ranked them 80. Not like top end guys, but, pretty decent. So I, gave you an 80 there. Receivers, I actually gave you a 90. This is definitely one of the better receiver rooms in the entire league. You're looking at Jamar Chase. Hopefully he signs a contract. Again, that's assuming he signs a contract and actually plays. You got Jamar Chase, Zay Flowers, who I don't mind Zay Flowers. He'll come up with the big plays. And Deontay Johnson, I don't know. I think he could be really good. PPR wise, maybe not really good, but definitely pretty good. Calvin Ridley, I love Calvin Ridley. Will Levis chucks, so I really like Calvin Ridley. And then Debo, again, love Debo Samuel. You can't go wrong with this receiver room. So yeah, that's why you got a 90 there. And then tight end, gave him an 80. Dalton Schultz and Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz, I don't really like Zach Ertz, but Dalton Schultz is definitely pretty good. You get an 80. You're not in the 60s or 70s. You know what I mean? You're doing pretty good there, even with an 80. It's just not elite. So you have a total score of 83 for Whitey at number 7. Then at number 6, I gotta find my spot here. Here we go. Number 6, we have Burns. Burns is number 6. This one, I thought going into it, you always kind of go in with, your thoughts, like where you think everybody's going to be ranked. Burns definitely is lower than I thought he was going to be. Quarterback, he has a 90. Ranked his quarterbacks 90. He's got Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, and Anthony Richardson. I love that trio. Jalen Hurts is going to be, he's obviously the play, but dude, if Anthony Richardson catches fire, Anthony Richardson could be so good. Just for fantasy for sure. So good. So 90 at QB. Running back, you got an 88. Love your running backs. Definitely one of the top 3 running back rooms here. Devon Achane, Tyler Algier, Tank Bigsby. Oh yeah. But you got Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker, picked up Emmanuel Wilson. I thought that was a good pickup. I really like the running backs here. That's why I gave, ranked you an 88. Nothing wrong with anything here. Receiver, I got you at an 80. Again, it's not bad, but it's not great. You have A.J. Brown. I love A.J. Brown. After that, Jaden Reed, I don't mind Jaden Reed. Rashee Rice. I don't mind Rashee Rice. Rashid Shaheed, whatever. And DeAndre Hopkins. You got 4 receivers. You don't have a lot of depth. You only have 1 great receiver and 2, probably wide receiver 2, 3. But you got an 80. Again, it's not like you got a 60 or a 70. I still ranked him 80. And then tight end, Dallas Goedert and Jake Ferguson. I don't love them, but I don't hate them. Got a 75 there. for a total score of 83.25. So Burns at number 6, 83.25. At number 5, gotta find my spot here. Oh, here we go. Number 5 is Lemish. Lemish is number 5, cracks the top 5. It's definitely fair to say that going into last year, I definitely slept on this team. I think I ranked him, I don't know, definitely bottom 3 or 4. He ends up just killing it this year. So he's ranked number 5. He's got QB, I ranked him 78, his lowest score. Brock Purdy and Bryce Young, I don't like that combo. I would not feel very good about that. Brock Purdy, he's consistent, but he doesn't give you a lot of upside. Bryce Young is just, as of right now, like maybe he catches fire, maybe he figures it out, but as of right now, Bryce Young is just awful. He's just an awful NFL player. I hope he turns it around, but as of right now, it has not happened. So quarterback 78, running backs, I gave you an 80 at running back. I don't mind your running back group, but it's not the greatest, not the worst. You're looking at Chuba Hubbard. I actually like Chuba Hubbard. Raheem Mostert, again, is absolutely going to continue to get work. Like, I know everybody's on Devon Achan's train, and I love Devon Achan too, but Raheem Mostert is going to continue to rake in that offense. So Zamir White is a really good piece there. Javonte Williams, another really good piece. So, yeah, ranked you in 80 at running back. Definitely pretty good. Not the best, not the worst. Wide receivers, however, I ranked you 90. So, yeah, definitely one of the better receiving rooms in the entire league. You're looking at Mike Evans, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, super underrated. Jacoby Myers, also extremely underrated. Josh Palmer, also underrated, I think. It will be. Curtis Samuel is, hurt, so whatever. But then you got Garrett Wilson, too. I think I ranked yours 90, and I ranked Whitey's also 90. So I think Whitey's, when I was going through it, I thought about that, and I like Whitey's starters probably a little bit more, but I love Lemish's depth a lot more than Whitey. But they get the same score. So, yeah, Lemish wide receiver 90. Tight end, Lemish also got you at a 90. You got Kelsey and Luke Musgrave. Like, you can't go wrong with that. So, yeah, Lemish is number 5. Oh, and your total score is 84.5. Okay. Number 4. We have Tainted Love. Me, number 4. I wasn't, going into it, obviously you do think about it, like I just said. And I think about like where I think I'm going to fall, and I'm like, man, I got a pretty good squad. But then like I really, really do a deep dive, and I try to rank myself compared to every other team. And I thought I was going to be in the top 3, and I did not make the top 3. And I ranked every team as genuinely as I think I could have. But I ranked me quarterback. I gave myself an 85. I have Jordan Love and Jaden Daniels. I love that combo. Again, I don't have one of the upper end guys, but I have 2 really good quarterbacks. Could I get better at quarterback? Yes, but I could also do a lot worse. So yeah, quarterbacks, I ranked myself 85. Running backs, I did give myself the second best running back room in the league at a 95. I love my running backs a lot. I have Bijan Robinson. I have Jonathan Taylor. I have Isaiah Pacheco. I also have Jordan Mason, who, anything happens to Christian McCaffrey, I like that. And then I have, Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a handcuff to Pacheco, Jared Patterson, and I have Kamani Vidal just as handcuffs to J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, who always get hurt. And then got Trey Sermon, who is, the handcuff to Jonathan Taylor, probably. So I love my running backs. Couldn't be happier about them. So got a 95. Wide receiver, I gave myself a 90. Pretty high. I love my my wide receivers. I have Tyreek Hill, Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, Darnell Mooney, Demarcus Robinson. I also have Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd McConkey on my taxi squad. Hollywood Brown. I am extremely happy with where my receivers are at right now. Could I get a little bit better? I could. I could upgrade like a Nico Collins to, one bigger stud, like a, AJ Brown or something. But I love Nico Collins as my number 2. Terry McLaurin is my number 3. Again, I'm really happy about that. And then my tight ends. I gave myself a 70. I think probably the biggest mistake that I made in the free agent auction was not going bigger for Mark Andrews. Going into the free agent auction, I told myself you got to get Kelce or Andrews. And that was my plan going into it, but I didn't think that Andrews was going to go for like $55. I thought Andrews was going to be more in like the 30 to 40 range. And I also knew I needed a couple of receivers, and I wasn't sure how expensive the receivers were going to go. When Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce went off the board, I did not have another receiver. Like I didn't have Nico or Terry McLaurin. So I thought Nico and Terry McLaurin were going to be way more expensive. So I didn't want to spend everything on Mark Andrews. And I did tell myself if they get too expensive, like we're gonna have to ride out with what you got. Maybe get a backup piece. So I have Isaiah Likely, who I think is really underrated. I think he's gonna get some work even with Mark Andrews in the lineup. And then I also think that if Mark Andrews gets hurt, Isaiah Likely is probably a top 5 tight end at that point. And then I do have Brock Bowers, who, going into week 1, if Mark Andrews plays week 1, which he hasn't been practicing, so we don't know what his injury is, but if Mark Andrews doesn't play, then I'm going to start Isaiah Likely, and I feel really good about that. But if Mark Andrews does play, I'm going to have to make room to get Brock Bowers off my taxi squad. So I'm not super thrilled with my tight ends right now. It could pan out. Like, who knows? Maybe Brock Bowers is really good this year. I'm definitely not counting on it, though. But yeah, so that gave me a score of 85. So literally a half a point higher than Lemish. And the biggest factor was, the running backs. I like my starting 3. Number 3. Number 3, we have Derek Roofer. This is another one that shocked me. Going into it, I was like, I didn't think that Roofer's team was that good. And not that I looked at it and thought that was just my perception. But going through it, his quarterbacks, I gave him an 82. He has, gosh darn it. He has Baker Mayfield, Tua, Deshaun Watson. So nothing too crazy there, but Tua's serviceable. Baker Mayfield is good. Like, he'll get decent production out of his quarterback. Not the best, not the worst. He gets an 82. Running backs, I gave him an 85. He's got Saquon. Love Saquon. J.K. Dobbins, you never know. You just never know. No, I think I really like Rachaad White and Devin Singletary. Like, they're not super, super great, but they're going to get work. They're the starters. They're going to get work, and you never know. So I just like his running backs. Gave him an 85. Wide receivers, however, he gets a 92. I think he had maybe the highest. Maybe. Gave him a 92, though. He's got Puka Nacua, T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Jalen Waddle, and Malik Neighbors and Xavier Legette on the taxi squad. This receiving core is like crazy good. Puka Nacua speaks for itself. Jalen Waddle, like he had a down year last year, but I still love Jalen Waddle. T. Higgins, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is so good. And then he got Neighbors off the bench. Like that's wild. This is an amazing receiving core. I love his receivers. I would take his over mine all day, every day. So, and then his tight ends, he gets a 90. He's got Sam Laporta. That's all that matters. I ranked kind of, Sam Laporta and Travis Kelce in kind of that same group. So he gets a score of 87.25. Number 2, we got 2 teams left. Number 2, we have Lemke. Lemke came in at number 2. Love the team here. Let me find my spot. So Lemke, quarterbacks, 95. Love your quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. The only way that gets better is if you have like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? Maybe. I don't even know. So 95 at quarterback speaks for itself. Running backs, 88. Ranked you in 88. You got Kyron Williams, Brian Robinson, Josh Jacobs, and you have Jonathan Brooks coming off the bench. Really love your running backs. You get an 88. You're in the upper echelon. I want to say in the top 3 for running backs for total groups. And I feel fine about that because I like my running backs better than your running backs. I like your receivers better than my receivers, and that's how I ranked them. So receiver, I ranked your receivers as a 90. Love your receivers too, man. CeeDee Lamb, Chris Olave, Dontavian Wicks, Brandon Ayuk, Stephon Diggs. You can't go wrong. Adonai Mitchell coming off in the taxi squad. I love these receivers, so I ranked them a 90. Tight end, gave you an 85. Kyle Pitts, Tucker Kraft, Theo Johnson. Actually, I think all 3 of these guys have a higher upside than you would think. Like, I really like Theo Johnson. I really like Tucker Kraft. If Luke Musgrave gets hurt, I think Tucker Kraft is awesome. And then Kyle Pitts, who knows? Maybe this is the year, man. Maybe this is the year. You never know. So Lemke, you got a total score of 89.5. Last but not least, my number 1 ranked team is Boggs. I went through his roster not that long ago. It was before the free agent auction. I'm like, Jesus Christ. This is wild. So here we go. Quarterback, I gave you a 91. Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Will Levis. That's a squad right there. And Drake May on the taxi squad. That's a squad. That's a quarterback room. Running backs, gave you a 95. So actually, I ranked them the same as mine. So you got Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Breece Hall, James Cook. That's wild. That's wild. I think I just liked my depth a little more than yours, but I mean, if we're talking starters, I'm probably taking yours over mine. You got 4 dudes that can cook. Like, that's wild. So running backs, 95. Receivers, I gave you an 88. Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, George Pickens, Jordan Addison, De'Ami Brown, Adam Thielen. That's Troy Franklin, and Jalen Polk coming off the bench and the taxi squad. That's six guys and Adam Thielen. Like, that's 6 guys that you can play. 6 guys that you can legitimately play. De'Ami Brown, especially after they traded Jahan Dotson, like, that's a squad. So 88 there. And then your tight end, I gave you a 90. You have Dalton Kincaid and David Njoku, 2 studs. So tight end's got a 90, and that was a big separator, Boggs from everybody else. Like, he has no weak areas. My tight ends are just not good. Certainly not as good as his. So that was a big separator between Boggs and I. So Boggs got a total of 91. He was the only the only team that I ranked in the 90s. So that's what I got. I hope you enjoyed it. Going through everybody's teams is a lot of fun. We got the Super Dune year, so a lot at stake for everybody, and then more at stake for Lemke. So, good luck to everybody this year, and I'll talk to you soon.